Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. We've had some hot days in April, and so I had already started planting, but then we got some cool nights later, and today is May the 8th. But we're still coming out of some of that time when I had already planted some things, and several things just didn't make it. You can tell there's some dead things in there. I'll clip those off. At least this little one with the pink on it did live, and I put these out too early evidently, but I think they'll come out of this. This one looks really bad. This one still actually looks good, but there's going to be some that won't make it, and some that will, and some that have already succumbed, and others, of course, like this one looks great. But if you look on down farther, you can tell that it's got some dead ones at the bottom of it too. But I'll see what I can do with that and get it back down in there a little better, and hopefully this will be pretty the rest of the season. And these little dew plants will, of course, just fill out the whole area, at least a fourth of the pot, if not a half of a pot, before the end of the season. But I am excited to get these empty parts of the pots, or the whole pot that's empty. This one is empty probably because it's also got a snail in there. These are, I don't like having to deal with them. They'll just eat your plants up, or eat up enough of them that they'll die. But I'm grateful that a lot of things have made it, and we actually have a chance of some hail this evening. So I'm hoping we don't get the hail, but I certainly hope we do get rain, because we're needing some rain badly. Even though I've kept the garden watered, you know, that rain just does so much more than just watering does, and gives them more nutrition, and they just do so much better. This little plant, I'm surprised. I thought there was just a tiny little bit of green in it, and now there's more green than there is the dead part. But I'll clip that dead part out, and I actually did get another little piece of this asparagus fern, and I'll put it on this opposite side, and hopefully they'll grow together and fill this little pot up. But I also noticed that as far as the forecast showed me, there are no days or no nights. It wasn't going down below 50 during the day anyway, but at night it was. But now even the nights are supposed to be 50 and above. So I'm thinking it is time to go ahead and plant the rest of my little plants, because I did get some more plants, because I knew I was going to have to go ahead and replant some of these. I waited quite a while to see if maybe some of my hostas would come back, but I didn't think they did, and most of them didn't. But I got a new little hosta here, and then I noticed that there is a little hosta trying to come up here, and this is the little bleeding heart plant that I planted just this year. This is a new hosta for this season, and it's doing great. I actually just I had this one on there that was it was torn. I don't know exactly what happened to it. There could have been a snail, but thankfully that's all it did to it. If I saw it, I'm sure I took it out of there, but I don't remember. But I just think this looks great, and I hope it continues to do well and be healthy and beautiful. I was looking as I went out shopping for plants and things. I also looked for some more of these tall skinny pots that I could put right here, but so far I haven't found them. But I will, or I'll find something that'll fit in that area. This little asparagus fern, or this big asparagus fern, I put it out earlier and left it there even through those colder nights, and it actually did quite well, so I'm grateful for that. And I'm ready to get the plants outside of my house because, as I've told you, we don't have much room in the house, and especially not when all the plants are in. So, and they just do better for me outside. So I always think they're happy to get back outside too. And these are some of the plants that I got to replace some plants. I had a fuchsia plant, and I'm almost sure it's dead, but I did leave a little bit of it in its root to see if maybe it might come back. And look at this beautifully colored Angelonia. I love that light pink and white together. And then of course this is so beautiful, the calabachoas that I really love. And then I got another Mexican heather, simply because they seem to do well here. And some of my other plants like the calabachoas don't always, and the fuchsias, they don't always make it through the hot part of the season for me. Also got 3 of the verbena. I was looking for just some like trailing plants, and those will do fine. And then for a slightly taller plant in the pot, the Angelonas will do great. But look at this beautiful little calabachoa. And then remember the one I had in here, it had this bright pretty color in it, and now look at that, it's gone. It's just gone. And this is another petunia, and usually the petunias continue to do well in slightly cooler weather. They actually like the cooler weather better, I think, but these didn't. It just didn't make it, so I'm going to have to replant those. And I did go ahead and thin out some of my bells of Ireland so that these little petunias can get some sun. And of course the poppies too. I'm anxious to see these little poppies. And I had a flax here that I thought would come back, but it didn't. And I thought, well, maybe even the seeds didn't come, but it looks like that right here is maybe one. So hopefully I'll still get that. And this is another little poppy, the smaller one, growing up here beside the petunia. So if we get some good rain, I'll take some of these petunias and put them in the back in my little strawberry pyramid, because they're way too thick here. I need to get these thinned out so they can grow and get a little bigger and put on a bigger, fuller bloom. And where my little black or almost black, you can see that they're going away, but here's one right here. And but you can tell I need to clip these off because these will all go to seed. And I would say I would have more than I want here, but actually because I have this weed control fabric down, they probably won't grow up there anyway. But I wouldn't mind having just a few more of them in places, but I don't want all this many. I know that some things, you love them, but they can get invasive really fast. And this actually is one of those plants, but I do love it, and it's so welcome in the spring. And then it's just this little bush the rest of the season. I'm glad that my little hens and chicks are still doing well. I'm so happy about that. This is the first time I've had them all filled out, and enough of them lived. Actually, this little one of these, I can't remember. Well, actually, it was this one that died out, and that's the one I replaced, and put 2 of them up here. And did I just see that there was some more little, there's some more babies coming out around this one. So that's great. And since our forecast does call for some pretty weather next week, I think we are going to get up in the 80s, which is a little hot for new plants coming out, but it'll still be better to go ahead and get them started then than when the nights would be too cold for them, or when the day temperatures are up in the 90s, which happens here in Oklahoma pretty often. But since we are going to have some good weather, I'm hoping to get a bunch of things planted this coming week. Like to fill up the empty pots and the bare spots in other pots. And today I purchased this for $15, and that's including, it has, I'll take it apart actually and use this is the now I can't think of the name of it, the burgundy spike plant, Dracena, and then around it they had these little plants around the edges of it are mandevilla, and there's 3, at least maybe 4 of the little mandevilla plants there, so I will get to plant those and put this one probably in a bigger pot. And the one I had inside died so naturally. I'm so bad with houseplants, and I'm not trying to be, and I am trying to take care of them, but that's just the way it is with houseplants and me. But look at this one too. This is a bougainvillea. And what you see pink over there is actually some petunias. But the bougainvillea is a purple, a deep plum. And so I'm anxious to get that going in the garden too. I just got that today, and both of these plants were on sale. Actually, all of these plants except the petunias were on sale. And I thought I might put these in my strawberry pot. And this, of course, that looks so bedraggled and awful is my little window plants that I've had in the window, and trying to get them started back in the garden again, which I do hope to get some of these to live. You know, it's worth it if you can get, like there's my sweet potato vine and just several little plants that I like to keep. This is the earth sign plant. And I know I need to get that all in the ground, but I'm trying to get it a little bit used to the sun bits at a time so they won't just die right away. And speaking of sweet potato vine, this is the only one. I had several of them, and they all died in that, just the cold nights that we had, and not even very long of a night. You know, it wasn't that cold all night long. But it was cold enough for long enough that the rest of them didn't make it. But I'm grateful that these little ones did. And I would love to get some, these of course are the little petunias, little volunteer petunias. So hopefully, these are just so pretty when the rounder foliage of the petunia plus just the bloom itself mix in with these forked leaves on the blacky sweet potato vine. And I did not ever get this one divided, and it may be too late now because I certainly don't want to try dividing it and just end up taking the foliage off the root and messing it up. I don't want to do that, but I would love to get some of this started in a different place so I can have 2 of them in case one should happen to one of them, because I love this little rainbow's end hosta. So pretty, and it's got a velvety sheen to its foliage. And this little kiwi spearmint hosta is growing up and looking good, and made it through those little cold nights. This is another little plant that I'm trying to get started. I tried a couple more in the back, but they just didn't make it. And this one I've been taking it in and out, so it's looking better, but I'll still have to see if it will make it for me. I think it will. And I want to go ahead and plant these. I think I told you that I did get, this is a guacamole hosta, and this one is, I forget what it is. Let me take a look at it right here and see. Sunset Grooves, and that's a pretty dark green edge to a yellow, practically yellow middle in the hosta. It's looking very good, and these made it. So glad they did. They don't look real great, but they look healthy enough that I'm pretty sure they'll go ahead and make it the rest of this season and pick up and look great. And then I did get another little, this is called a dwarf Alberta spruce, and I'm planning to put it where I had my blue spruce that I was hoping would make it. I really wanted that blue, powder blue cast color, and just the idea of it seems just perfect. But this one is nice too, and what I liked about it when I touched it was that it's soft. It's very soft. It's not quite maybe as soft as a cypress, which I'd also consider getting, but I saw this one and I thought, I think that's the one I want to try. And I feel quite sure that my hostas are not going to come back in these pots here too. So I would like to go ahead, I'd like to find some more hostas, or even to get a piece off of a hosta, but I'm not sure if that's going to work now, because once they get bigger, I found that for myself anyway, I can't seem to get them cut off well, and I don't want to tear them up. Look at this little Mexican heather plant. It just got to looking better in that cooler weather, and it does fine in the hot weather in the summer too. I think the only plant that did live and look good in this one is one of the calabachoas, which I'm so glad it did. I hope it continues to. But I think this was just a petunia, but it just didn't make it in this pot, so I'll have to refill several things. Although I was pretty sure this little Russian sage had died back there, I thought maybe it wasn't getting enough sunlight, even though this end of this does get quite a bit of sunlight, and it is coming out of it. And I did tell you that my little strawberry pots, some of them look great, and then some of those in the back are dead. So, but I did find some more of the same color to put in there, so I'll be trying to do that this coming week too. I would love to get them all going, and then I'll just need to basically just to water. And then, you know, there's always a few things that come up that you need to do in the garden too, like spray for insects, and sometimes you just have to trim some of it off if they get to growing too much and get out in the pathway or whatever reason. Oh, and I'm looking at this little pot right here, which I thought it was all going to die in here because several of them did. Several did, but there's only two left. But look how pretty those two still are. They look great. And some of my butterfly weed is already bloomed and starting to be spent, and then others are just now beginning to bud out and fixing to look pretty in their bloom. And I may have already told you, but this little one bloomed for me too. It's looking good. Be glad when it's just full of bloom. But that'll be another season or more. And this nepeta looks so good, and yet actually it's beginning to fade, so it won't be too long before I'll go ahead and trim this up, trim all of the bloom off of it so that it can build new blooms. And look at this little marigold here in the center of this. Doesn't that look pretty? I just put that up on top of that in the pot with it, just so you could get that contrast of the yellow and the blue. And my little cannas, the little dark foliage cannas, are looking great right now. I purchased another Gara swirling butterflies. I had one just right in this area and it didn't live. I don't know why it didn't. I think there may have been a gopher or a mole, more likely a mole or a vole, that got under it and got its little root. But I decided to try again in almost the exact same spot, not quite. Hopefully it will do well here. And my little balloon flower is fixing to bloom. Let me get up close where you can see it's got little balloons. Pretty soon they'll be bigger balloons and then burst into a little daisy-like blue flower. And I'm still thinking that these are snapdragons that came from seed from last year's snapdragons, and they were such a pretty maroon mauve color. So I'm going to enjoy those again this year if that's what they are, and I do think that is what they are. And the Cafophia is beginning to bud and bloom. And this is another of the butterfly weed. And some more of the, well, Cafophia and Nepeta or catmint. And I see I've got some hollyhocks coming up in this little pot, which I will want to remove those and put them in the ground. And then this little plant is fixing to bloom, and I kept saying I was going to take it down because it does have some of the, that little leaf looked good, but I'm sure it does have some of the disease on the back of it that just makes them look terrible. Not as bad as I thought it would though. I may at least wait until those bloom now. And I keep saying I'm going to divide this little scabiosa or pincushion flower, and I have not done that yet, but I still want to. And as soon as I find the time, I want to trim down these old roses and actually purchase a different colored rose to put there. And that goes for all the way down. The ones that are the old roses I want to take out and try again for some different colored roses. This little spot right here is where I fell down and kind of tore up my leg and my arm, but they're getting better now. They're almost well. I don't know if you can see that. And then these are the little plants that I purchased, and I did cover them. I put them on this and then covered them with some plastic, and this one I covered with just a plastic tablecloth, and they seem to have done well, but I'm anxious to get them in the ground, and I'm sure they're anxious to be in the ground, or actually in pots. Most of these, if not all, will go in pots. And everything in this pot died except maybe this little bacopa, this little white bacopa. I trimmed off a bunch of the old dead stuff, hoping that that would give it a chance to pick its little self up and go again. If I get a chance, I may try to purchase another one of these and give it a better try. And then this pretty little, I think this is one of the double petunias, and I'm hoping it will make it to it. It looks good, like it could and probably will. And this is where I wanted to put those little pink petunias that I showed you in the front, and put them in this, and then I hope to get some marigold seeds started here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. It may look like it did last year, which was not very good at all. It's just a few scattered in there, and I want to get rid of this hose. It didn't work for me anyway. But you can tell there are some little petunia seeds trying to come up there, as well as that one is a marigold. And then over on this side there's a few little marigolds trying to come up, but I had it covered with seed and they just didn't make it. And I'm going to try to put some topsoil on this and work it in so that hopefully they'll have a little better chance. Some of my roses did not bloom well. They bedded out to bloom and they got cold and they just kind of stayed right there and then started turning brown. But this one's looking great right now. And I did get another little Dashandra. This one, I don't know why it went. I don't think it's because it was cold, because I have one on the other side, and I'll show you in just a second. That looks great. So this one just somehow it didn't make it though, so I'm gonna have to try that again. And I guess that's just the way it is in the springtime. You try things and some of them make it and some of them don't. And look at this little fan flower. I wish it would do this all season long, but that kind of depends if we have some cool days, because it likes the cool days but it does not like continuous heat. But right here, of course, is the other little Dashandra, and you can tell it's already trailing down. So I'm going to get the other one in here on the other side of it, and hopefully it will look good and do good. And I replaced some of the Chinese dunce cap in these little pots. And I think they have a chance to look great. And these little plants were trailing vinca, and you can tell they did not fare well either. I don't even know if this one will make it, because there's not any little green on it to make it, but this one is trying. So actually I'm hoping they'll both make it. And I did get 3 more that I want to put, but I hope to put those in different places. You know, I told you that I broke this off, and I put part of it in this little pot right here, and I could tell it wasn't living, but I cut off all the dead, and guess what? It had made a little root. I'm pretty sure there's a root on there, or it would not have done this well, and it may be able to put on some more green and some of those pretty painted foliage. And I told you that I thought my Kinsley's ghost honeysuckle had died because there wasn't any sign of it at all, but now there is. I'm so grateful that it came out, but I did go ahead and order one. I told you that too, and there it is. You can't even tell if it's there, and I'm not sure that it is there, but I'm still hoping it'll come up from the root, because it does need one on either side of this, I think. But even if it doesn't, at least I do still have this one little plant, and I'm hoping I'll get both and have a chance that if one of them should die, I'll have another to start some from. So that's basically what's going on in the garden, and lots that need to be going on, and hopefully that I will get to this coming week, a lot of it. We have some other obligations too, so we won't get to spend the whole week in the garden, but hopefully I'll get to spend a lot of it in there and get a lot of this done, and hopefully I'll have more to show you next week when I show you how the garden is growing and what it's doing. This is the little fuchsia. It's gone. I don't want to say that. I don't want it to be so, but I'm afraid it is. And then this is a petunia, and this is a petunia, and they're not going to make it. For some reason, this one didn't just die like all the rest of those little purple salvias did. But I did purchase a few more of those, so maybe I can fill those back up too. And I noticed my little bellflower, little low-growing bellflower, has blooms on it now also, as well as the pretty, I love this blue Victorian salvia. And a few of the little plants I had in here died out, but not many, so hopefully it may even just fill itself out without any more, but I'll see what I can do with this one and hopefully get it looking better. And these are the little purple heart plants that I told you I tried here in the back, and a lot of them died out, but there's still a little in there. And I'm hoping that it will come back from these little plants when they get more healthy, and I can snip some off and start them in other places in the pot. I think they could also still look good, and hoping that they will. And then this is blooming again. Isn't it beautiful? to be like my friend Glenda's, when she had just one in a pot and it filled the whole pot out and just filled over the sides and just was so pretty. I did lose a salvia right here, but and I think I had a coleus in the back there that didn't make it. So, but this little peppermint verbena is just looking great. Of course, I will want to finish out this little strawberry pot again. You can tell, I think this one's going to make it. You can tell it didn't do well, but I think it's going to make it. But all this other side has to be redone. But I was able to find the same color, and hopefully I'll get her going again, and hopefully things will be great. And this little one right here, I'm looking across and seeing, is a penta. It has a little bit of green. It has a possibility of making it, but it also may not. I actually did buy a new penta. I had a pretty pink one in here, and now I bought the one I found was a pretty purple, light purple, so either one would work fine in this little pot. And of course all these little roses are spit now, and I need to just cut those down so they'll have room to grow and not go up above the fence, hopefully, which they do sometimes do, but I'll try to trim them down enough that hopefully they won't, it'll take them a while to get that done if they do. I miss them being so bright and beautiful, but you know, they don't last. None of our beautiful flowers last as far as to keep their bloom. This little cactus is just keeping on putting on little ones, which is great. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.